Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
And this is Matt. And now
And
is the time on Sprockets when we
when we
dance.
dance, Matt's coming in with the
I beat you to it
pop
this
culture
one.
references.
What
Uh,
was yours going to be?
I was going to say, let's just bite into something sweet and sexy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we'll explain why in a second. We're
Yeah.
going to bite into something sweet and sexy tonight because today we're going to talk about Gabriel Knight. And I'm going to just warn everybody right now this is a Sierra point and click adventure. So if you like this game, just go ahead and turn this off.
You know how many shows we say that in front of? Like probably 6 out of 10 shows we say, if
Well,
you liked this game.
so one of the things I think is interesting about this show, and if you're just joining us for the first time, here's a little good segue into that. Look at the professionalism we bring without planning,
Dude,
trying, or putting
speaking
any
of, you
effort
got to
in.
get that mouse off the screen.
Is the mouse bothering you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's right here. This...
Get it. Oh, just it's
Only you
rampant
can see it. No one else
unprofessionalism.
can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not like when we stream and Bill yells at me because my mouse is okay. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's
Well,
okay.
I didn't mean to distract.
You
Go ahead.
you
What were you
knocked my
saying?
flow. You
I'm
just
sorry. It's
got in the
just
way of my flow here, Matt. Um. Anyway, what I was going to say is if you're tuning in to get a review of Gabriel Knight, you've already come to the wrong place. We don't do reviews. We pick a game every month. We play it for a month. Then we come back and we talk to each other about it, sort of in a book club style discussion. And along that sort of thought process, we don't necessarily know the games we're playing before we play them. So sometimes we come out and we're like, super cool, love this game. And sometimes we don't.
and
However, people keep asking us to play Sierra games, even though it's pretty common knowledge that I don't like Sierra games.
you hate Sierra games. There's never been a Sierra game we played that you were like, you know what, this was a good time. I enjoyed
I
it.
enjoyed my entire Sierra experience. The closest we came was Quest for Glory.
Yes. Quest for
Closest.
Glory, I found to be a delight, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you found tolerable,
Right.
which is a glowing
View
recommendation
from
from
me.
you on any point and click Sierra game.
Right. Well, because it sort of broke all the Sierra rules.
Right.
Like it really does. There weren't a lot of sudden surprise deaths. There was a solid save system. I don't know. It was
Hmm.
more role play with stats and stuff like it just wasn't a typical Sierra game.
Hmm.
So I can kind of walk past that one. Anyway, so we kind of come into this lovely Gabriel Knight point and click game. And until this game, I had been holding out hope that there was some Sierra game.
There was going to be one that you were like, "Oh,
I love these
that was
games.
a moody thriller
Hmm.
that I really enjoyed."
And I was writing notes for this and writing how you can't do some of the things this game does if the story doesn't hook me. When I realized the story had, I still didn't give a shit because of how infuriating parts of the game mechanics are to me.
Hmm.
And if you're sitting here going, I don't remember them being that bad, there's a reason for that. These games came out sort of at the beginning of point and click adventures. There were no rules, no expected ways mice should work.
Right.
You weren't necessarily infuriated because there wasn't sort of a standard practice for things.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
this is 9 years after King's Quest One, because King's Quest One, I just checked, 1984.
Hmm.
So this is 93, and like it definitely had evolved.
But King's Quest 1 eventually had mouse stuff, but
Hmm.
didn't start out that way. So like you can that's kind of why like I can look at King's Quest 1 and go, okay, your mouse stuff isn't up to snuff, but you were never intended to be for a mouse.
Right. Mouse was kind of a
Mhm.
late add, an afterthought.
Right. This was
Yeah.
entirely intended to be for a mouse to the point that the instructions show you how to use a mouse.
Right. I love that when they used to have to explain left and right click.
Right. And middle click if you have a 3-button mouse. Woo, or a 1-button mouse.
If you're a one percenter with
Hmm.
the third button.
Oh my God. So many buttons now on my
I
mouse.
know.
So yeah, I loved that. I will do my best for those of you who requested this to not completely
Well,
crap on it, but
well this
buckle
this
up.
this was our spooky Halloween game, and we like try to play one,
Every
at
Halloween.
least one every October. And this was it for us. So when like I worked with a guy who loved this game, and he like went to uh, New Orleans and New Orleans.
I'm not even going down that
I'm
road.
gonna say it wrong. Someone's gonna be
You've
mad.
just said it two different ways, so you've at least
I
said it
know.
wrong
I'm
once so
like,
far.
um, and like went to all the locations and like loved this game. And when we sat down to play this, I was like, I'm gonna do this game. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna look stuff up. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna like read the dialogue, which is something I don't usually do in games because I got too much shit to do. So I was like committed to the Gabriel Knight experience. And let's start the video and talk about
Yeah,
what that
let's
is.
let's do that. All right. Let me pull in here.
So yeah, so like you said, this is like not breaking much new ground, interface and whatever wise. It's like point and click. You've got your menu of things and your,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's some really, these cinematic scenes are kind of great.
Yeah.
And like this is when like watching this, I was like, yes, like this is exactly what I want. And it was moody, and I like was really excited about it.
Well, and I can also see like in '93 when this came out, and we should talk about that too, like history and stuff, because I've got some things to point in there. Um, like this was the goth sexy shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
New
Oh, it
Orleans is
sure
Anne
was.
Rice bullshit,
Right.
and
Right.
guy in a trench coat.
I think Anne Rice bullshit was the alternate title for this.
Quite possibly, quite possibly. Uh, so like it checks all the right boxes for like a 1993 horror puzzle game. Like, so this is also going to be why, like, if you remember from that time and you're like, oh, this was so my shit.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it was everybody's. Um,
Right. We all had like black leather trench coats
mhm. Yeah,
in '93.
yeah. I mean, a lot of us, like, not everybody, but a lot.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
thing.
I actually had the first time I played this, I loved it.
Hmm.
And I walked away thinking, this is it. This is going to be the Sierra game that Chris likes, because it didn't kill me in any dumb way. It just like kind of left you, and it didn't punish you, and like the puzzles all made sense. After day one, I was this is going to make Chris's point and click Sierra adventure game dreams finally come true. And he's going to say, "Thank you, Matt. Thank you for suggesting we play this. You're so smart and cool and handsome,
Yep.
and I approve of you."
I never got day one to finish.
You didn't get past day one?
I tried too. I couldn't
Wow.
figure out how to end the day. I figure I must need more puzzles, but I couldn't find whatever hidden pixel I was supposed to click on. I finally found the two books on the shelf you told me about on the day one,
Hmm.
like 4 days ago. I'm like, oh, these are the things he's talking about. And I felt like
Yeah.
they were supposed to open dialogue options somewhere, but by this time I talked to everybody that I could think of to talk to, so I don't necessarily know who still needed those dialogue options. And then I went and I talked to the police, and like new things opened up, but God, what a pain in the ass. And it just,
Right. And there we come to the first major problem with this game. The way that it's structured is there are all these locations, and you're this author guy who's investigating these voodoo murders in that city where Mardi Gras happens.
mm-hmm.
And um, you go around to all the different locations, and after you solve a certain amount of puzzles, the day ends and you get a cutscene, and then the next day usually things have opened up and there's new puzzles to solve. But because it doesn't kill you, what it does is leave you going back and forth to the same locations over and over again. And then what happens, like that's a frustrating model
Mm-hmm.
in and of itself. But then what happens is you'll find like one item, and a lot of the items are like very tricky to find. So you'll find one and it will open up new dialogue options. But those don't necessarily solve the puzzles or advance the puzzles. And it opens up across the whole
Right.
city. So you find
Now you
one
got to go to
item,
everyone again and talk
now
to
you
them
have to
again.
go back to everyone again and again and again, and it happens multiple times. And
Because this is the trap a lot of these point and click puzzle games do, that is what ultimately turns me off from them. You pick up a bungee cord somewhere and you don't know why you're picking it up. You're picking it up because it's an object in a puzzle game.
mm-hmm.
And maybe it's useful, maybe it's not, but better to have it like 6 screens down than not.
Mm-hmm.
And so you use the bungee cord on a fish tank to put tension on the water purifier, which causes the cook to come over. And then you can go steal his plates and pretend to serve dinner so you can overhear a conversation that opens up something else. None of this happens in the game, by the way. This is just an example.
it's
But
not
it's
a
the
bad
sort of
one, though.
logic these things do, where there's no reason you would think bungee cord fish tank, other
Right.
than I just try everything.
Well, I will say that I thought that the first couple days the puzzles were somewhat cogent.
Here's my problem. The number of fucking... Oh, hang on, right there. Pause. Oh, I almost got it. Just smidge it back just a little bit.
Smooch it back. Ooh, ooh,
Went a little too far.
ooh, too far. Oh,
I want to see those icons up at the top because I want to talk about them extensively.
Yeah, you were mad about those icons in a way that I was not. I have to be honest.
I understand.
I connect with why they were frustrating to you, but I didn't feel as annoyed by them.
It's one of those where if you get it on the first try with the icons, clean sailing, you might think some of them are quirky, but you're not going to have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get stuck on one of them not meaning what you think it's supposed to mean, then you look at all of them with this sort of magnifying glass hyper focus bullshit detector, and all of them tick you off. Like none of them mean what you think they mean.
Right, because they all have a meaning.
They all have a meaning. They all do something. And this is my other problem with this sort of early era of these point and click games, where it is, why do I need 5 different types of interaction as an icon? Like,
Yeah.
why do I have to have one thing that opens a door, one thing that operates a door, one thing that looks at a door, one thing that tries to talk to a door, one thing that asks a question of a door, one thing that tries to take a door?
Right.
Like, I don't need that much.
Yeah.
Operate, look, talk.
Here they come. There they are.
There, I got him. I got him.
Okay. Okay.
So we got a boot. What does that mean? Quiz for people at home. We'll give them 3 seconds. Okay, Matt, what does the boot mean?
It means walk.
Okay, cool. I'm on board with that.
Walk.
I don't
no
think we necessarily need an icon for it, but whatever. I feel like if I click on the floor, the game should be able to go, I'll bet he wants to walk there because he's not investigating the third nail on the left. Except in this game. We'll get to that too.
Right, because you might need that nail.
You might need that nail. Mardi Gras mask.
Look.
I understand we're going with theming. Your icons don't get that fancy with theming. Because I first clicked it up and I'm like, I don't know what this means. Because you can right click and cycle through them. And like when I'm looking at these all in context, there's some of them. Sure, I understand what that means. Okay, question mark.
Ask a question.
Ask a question. Doesn't mean get more information on something. It means conversationally ask a question. The text bubble gives help, sure. But then why do I have an explanation point in the text bubble?
Right. That's goofy because
now I've got 2 ways to talk to people and I don't need to.
Right. And they don't make sense contextually because the way they're used in the game, like it just doesn't there's no clear like meaning.
Right. And they do kind of go back and forth. Sometimes one will prompt some dialogue you need for questions, and sometimes it sort of doesn't do anything. You need to use the question to actually talk. And
usually, like 9 out of 10 times you want the question.
Right.
But there's that 1 out of 10 times where you want the exclamation.
So you've got to click on every person with 2 icons to find out which does what to open up all your text options. So I'm already kind of like raising an eyebrow here, but whatever. Hand.
Pick up.
Sure. Gears.
Operate.
Settings. Since when is gears operate? Hand should be operate. Usually there's like a hand pinching like this for take and a hand like this for operate.
Right. But there's also the hand like this.
Yeah, the like pointed things. Yeah, that happens sometimes too.
That's like push.
It's like push. This isn't push. The poke is push.
Yeah.
And the gears aren't settings. They're operate.
And the door is open.
And the door, that's what I was about to say. Since fucking when is a door open? Door means exit. And it should mean exit the screen.
Right. But sometimes you have to open the door and sometimes you don't.
Well, and there's a whole nother ball of piss my ass off.
Right.
So you want to leave a screen, and I click on the foot. On some screens, you click on the foot close enough to the edge, and it gives you a little extra exit icon that goes, oh, this is how I get out. You've got to use a door, on screens with a door, except for parts where you, like in this screen, to get out the front door, you use the door on the door, but to go through the curtain, you walk. So, fuck you, game. I can't even leave the screen consistently with the controls you gave me.
Yeah.
And is this nitpicking? Sure. But I spent 10 hours trying to get off the first day. So guess where I'm at, Sierra?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in the whole
the envelope is light.
The whole game is just a bunch of nitpicky little things that you have to do, and like there's so many dialogue options, and you have to. The manual specifically says when you get stuck, just go to everyone, use every item on everyone, read every dialogue option. And like it's decent advice, but it's not super fun.
It's not good gameplay. Yeah,
you want some kind of logical flow, not just like oh, time to use it. And like and like you'll find yourself thinking, oh, and I just like learned some voodoo shit. Who are the people that I know that might have some ideas about voodoo shit? Here's a tip: it's everyone in the fucking game.
Yeah.
Everyone in this game is a voodoo expert. So
Mhm.
it's not like you're not like,
Well,
oh,
I
this
grew up
is
in that city that I'm not going to try and pronounce in fear of pissing someone off.
right. Right. So it's not like you're not like connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I learned, that there's a secret voodoo group. I better go to the voodoo museum, or maybe I'll go to the voodoo priestess, or maybe
Mhm.
I'll go to the guy at the bar who just like knows some shit about voodoo, or the voodoo professor.
Right.
Maybe he's the one.
Mhm.
Like, oh, like everyone's a fucking voodoo master in this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's so many parts I want to just kind of.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back. Let's have me calm down and we'll talk about the history for a second. Game came out in 1993, developed and published by Sierra, as you might have already surmised by my tone. Oh my God, I can't think of her name. She did the King's Quest. What's her name?
Oh,
Not Rebecca Heineman. That's Bard's Tale. That's the name that's stuck in my head.
I was just gonna go secretly Google it, but then I forgot the name of the game. So Margaret, no, that's a character.
Roberta Williams.
Roberta Williams, of
Roberta
course.
Williams helped Jane Jensen make this game. Jane Jensen, and this is where my what I wanted to do for an opening tagline comes in, because Jane Jensen goes by a pen name. She has a pen name.
Okay.
Eli Easton. And if you go to her website, the catchphrase is "Fight into something sweet and sexy." She does a bunch of gothy romance horror novels. A Changeling for Christmas, Fang Gothica, Family Camp.
I don't know about that.
Blame It on the Mistletoe.
Okay.
How to Howl at the Moon. I mean, I just was like, never fall in love with your straight BFF superhero. I am hoping these are on Audible, because
oh my God, yeah.
Getting
you know who should make a game? You know who should make one of these games is Chuck Tingle. Do you know Chuck Tingle?
I know Chuck Tingle, and yes, Chuck Tingle should play.
I'd play Space Raptor Bud Invasion by Sierra.
And that's not a slam. Like, I'm seriously, there will be sometime I will pick one of these up because I have to hear.
Yeah, man, you got Audible. You know they're not going to cost you a bunch of credits.
My wife right now is going through Vampire Knitting Group, which I don't know who that's by, but
cool.
So,
well,
anyway, yeah, I found that and I'm like, oh, I went from not wanting to talk about this game to I have so much love and respect for Jane Jensen right now.
Yeah, that sounds hot. Like, I'm into it.
Well, and again, if you look at the story parts of this, I don't have a gripe with the story she's trying to tell. She's at a company using a medium that, like, I think if this had LucasArts wouldn't have been a good fit either. Mm-hmm. I don't know who would have, but we needed another point and click somewhere in the middle of those two, mm-hmm. with a little edge to it, but more player friendly than Sierra.
Yeah, maybe like Interplay. Didn't they do some of those like
Interplay would have
Zorky
been
kind
a
of
good choice? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I said, when I started this game, I was in love with it. Like, I really liked it, and it's because it's like it has a voice. It has a mood. It's
trying to say something,
right?
And a lot of games don't.
Right, and it's like making effort to honor the material and like give you real information about voodoo, and there's like real like stuff going on, and there's like dynamics between the characters, and,
right.
And the location is like great. Like this like that skull thing in the foreground, like that's good shit. Like
Hmm.
this is really good, kind of compelling
Yeah,
shit. And
but
I
I
don't
can't get
want
past the
this.
gameplay.
Yeah, I don't want to just turn it into like Matt and Chris are pissed at Gabriel Knight, because I see why like
I see
my
what people
friend
liked
went to
about it.
these places.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
I see why people back then were, again, it's the only game you got, and back then might have been, you'll play it. And but you said give this game a voice. Let's talk about voice for a second, because this
Oh
game is
man.
voice acted. Tim
Yeah.
Curry, Mark Hamill, Michael Dorn all do voices in this. Virginia Capers is my favorite. She is the narrator.
Hmm.
The envelope is light.
I I loved it.
Do you know what other movie she was in? Aside
No,
from, she went to Juilliard. So she's
very
not,
nice.
she's not coming off some like, I started at my local community college.
Right, she's not from Central Casting.
Right.
So what else did she do?
Howard the Duck.
No way.
Yeah, she was in Howard the Duck.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm like, oh my God. Like I can be like, you went to Juilliard and ended up doing some video game stuff. That's fine. I went to Juilliard, ended up in Howard the Duck. Oh
Right.
man, that hurts.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so afraid to watch Howard the Duck again, because I liked it when I was a kid. The alien guy was
Don't,
scary.
just don't. It's like a lot
Yeah.
of our games. Take the happy moments you have and put them back there.
Yeah.
For those of you who also want, the woman Linda Gray who voiced the grandma did Tila, Sorceress and Evelyn, and He-Man. So like any
Wow.
name you pick off who did something in this, you will probably have heard them somewhere else, and not some like obscure like movie that only 3 people watched. Like these are
Totally.
legitimate actors bringing legitimate talent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like the production values are good. I love the art. Like I
Right.
think the art's really good. The pixel art stuff.
Except I have one problem with the art.
What's that?
What do you click on? It's so well done. Like there's books on that bookshelf you're supposed to click on. And right off the bat, which icon to click on the books with is one of my like,
Right. So not only can you not see the objects, you don't necessarily know what exact thing to
like if you
use.
look at the books, no, you have to take the books.
Right. And so like there are objects in this game that are clearly something you can interact with, because they are drawn into the foreground. This
Mm-hmm.
screen is a bad idea, but like that drummer,
Mm-hmm.
they have kind of that characteristic that the drummer has,
Yeah.
where it stands out. You know, this is something for me to fuck
Right.
with one of my 8 fuck with it icons.
Right.
And that's cool, but also there are very very many things that are just in the background. And like when you talk about those books, there's like books over here, there's books over here, books over here, there's books everywhere. And like everything you know about games is like wants to treat those books as a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can either click on the books or not. But
Yeah.
no, there's like 4 books, and there's like
They're
you don't
scattered
need
around.
them,
Yeah.
but they're hints. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of need them. You actually, I think you do
You
need
need
the
some to open up some
information.
dialogue options. But
Right.
I think I got to some out of order, so didn't get the dialogue options I needed for the people I needed them from, so things got
Right.
screwed up. Because, like last day, went to the walkthrough. I'm like, I'm gonna just see how far I can get off day one, because I can't go on here and say.
So do you know what you were missing on day one? I don't remember the last puzzle on day one.
I don't. So here's what stopped me. I couldn't figure out the books until I went to the walkthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the walkthrough, found the books, grabbed the books, went to talk to grandma about things the books tell you about to ask her about,
Mm-hmm.
and those dialogue options weren't there.
Oh,
So
okay.
because I already talked to her, now I don't know, did I hear them? She's not in my recorder. I should be there if I heard them. But they're
Yeah,
not there for any other thing. So did I screw up? Did I not? What happened here?
I think maybe you didn't do the clock puzzle
I did the clock
because
puzzle,
oh, okay.
but I did the
So
clock
like,
puzzle before I did the books.
that's oh, interesting. That's the other thing with the dialogue options. One, there's many dialogue options, and two, you often have to go through them multiple times to
Mm,
get the right thing. That can be a lot.
yeah. And in a game like this, I feel like all dialogue options should be clues, but not puzzles. And I don't necessarily know that that's true for this game. I think dialogue options open paths and stuff to puzzles.
I see. I'm okay with them using dialogue as like story
Not
elements and
with this much.
flavor.
There's so
Well,
much dialogue, and you're never sure which one of these things is the thing that unlocks the next thing. So you got to click through all of them, even if you don't care.
right. That is true. You do have to click through all of them.
Right.
I didn't. What I found objectionable was really that I didn't get it the first time because like I said, as someone who was committed to like
Mm-hmm.
experiencing everything this game was bringing, and that includes all those dialogue, all that flavor dialogue about like tell me about yourself. I
Yeah.
came here from like where the fuck ever, who cares?
Yeah.
Like I was there for that and I was committed to doing it, but it's annoying when you feel like you've done it and then you realize, oh, I just needed to ask him the same thing two more times.
Right.
And then so what it means is that you have to click them until you start getting a repetitive answer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not cool.
Right.
I don't like that.
I also think like one of the things I really like about Ultima is something a lot of other people give it grief for, and that's you type in the things you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, with having this list of things, like, yeah, I won't miss anything, but now I'm just checking off boxes rather than pursuing whatever's behind it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I just want to make sure all of those text things go dark to show I clicked on them and get them
Right.
in my journal. And I'm half paying attention because I'm on my 100th conversation this day. None of them are
Right.
unlocking anything. They're just
Right.
making more things for me to click on. And I, at this point, don't believe any of them are going to do anything I care about. And I'm worn down and I'm tired, and I shouldn't feel that way in a game. I should be
Mm-hmm.
really interested and invested, and I'm not.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
give
Like
me a day of like dicking around like the cemetery or old bookshops and clicking on things and finding things, more interesting.
mm-hmm.
But don't make me click on everything with 8 different icons to figure out which one is the one that it needs to click on.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And like probably the most egregious of the Hunt a Pixel issues
Mm-hmm.
I thought was there's like a crime scene that's by a river and like
We get
at
to
some
that in
point,
this. Yeah.
yeah, you just have to like click in these weeds kind of arbitrarily to get stuff. And I don't necessarily like that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, yeah. So like in those weeds to the right of the or to the left of that tree
Mm-hmm.
by the police tape, there's like clay in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe I think it's a scale there. And but then there's like clay on the riverbank and you have to like click on all these different
Oh,
pieces
I didn't
of
get the stuff
this.
on the riverbank. I missed
Yeah,
that.
there's you have to get clay because you need it later. And
Why would I know to get clay?
you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
That's and that's my problem with the click everything. And I think in Sierra's mind, this unobviousness is fun to them. They think the players are having fun unlocking things by just clicking around the screen until it triggers the story to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But they're taking me out of participating in the story. It's no
Mm-hmm.
longer something I'm doing to figure out or work within their box and their systems. I'm just clicking things until they give me another like Pavlov nugget of story.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
got better things to do with my time.
Well, that kind of brings me to what ultimately made me tap out on this game and made me so angry that I was like totally out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like let's talk about the clay for a second. Like, there's a world where you encounter the other half of the puzzle. There's like a piece of jewelry that you need to make a mold of, and you could conceivably get to that point in the game, and you could say, I've got this jewelry, I need to get, like, essentially get this jewelry, but she won't give it to me.
Right.
I have one chance to use something. Maybe I could make a mold of it. Maybe, where might there be clay by the river? I'll go to the river. I'll get some clay.
That is a lot of jumps. Because I wouldn't think I can't get the jewelry. I need to make a mold of it. I'm gonna go to the river, fish up some clay, come
It's
back.
it's conceivable that you could get
It's
there.
conceivable.
But let me tell you the puzzle, and I think it might be kind of an infamous puzzle in this game.
Okay.
The On like day 5, um, you get you when you're in the cemetery, you find like some etchings
Mm-hmm.
on the tomb wall,
Yeah.
and you find the brick that they used to write them,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually you get a second set of etchings.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you are, in order to progress the day, you need to write a message on the wall. And the message you need to write is something like, DJ, bring the Seki Medul,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And uh, you know what a Seki Medul is, and I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry,
Right.
because you went to the it's in the lecture that the guy gives at the college.
Right.
There's like a professor gives you a lecture, but you have no reason to write that. The following day, you get a tracking device, and then you go put it in the Seki Medul, and
Mm-hmm.
then Dr. John, who's DJ, brings it.
Yeah.
That is backwards. You should not. Why would you ever think to write that? It's like maybe you could get there because it's a voodoo phrase and you have the letters required to write it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like
But it's
such
not
an
a
obvious
logical.
miss.
Yeah.
Why would you not give me the tracking device on the same day and let me put it in the thing, and then I have to go, geez, what's that thing called? I'll go to like check my tape from the lecture and see if I can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the Seki Medul. Oh, I can spell out. Like, that is such a clear and logical storyline, but it's totally broken. It makes no sense. It's
Right.
backwards. You make me write it, and then I have to figure out why I wrote the thing that I
Right.
wrote.
And when I see things in this game, I want to watch the show. I want to watch Gabriel Knight. I want to see
Mhm.
this a Netflix series or a movie, or I would be there. I mean, okay, we got to get someone other than Conan O'Brien to play him. But tell me he doesn't look like Conan O'Brien.
He looks a lot. He's like a
They tried to make Conan
slightly
O'Brien cool.
sexier version
Yeah.
of Conan.
Next time we get a dialogue, I'll pause. We'll look at Conan O'Brien because it's.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to watch this. I am interested in the story.
Yeah, teach me some shit about voodoo. Take me on this journey. Let me meet these weird, like, guy who runs the voodoo
Yeah,
store
take
character.
me back to the era of X-Files and let me just wallow in weird, just under the surface of normality occultism. And I'm there. I'm there with my popcorn and my $20 in hand. Just give me the
Mhm.
ticket. Let me go do it. But this
Don't
game's
make
not
me-
how I'm going to get there.
Don't make me do things that I don't know why I'm doing them until the next day.
Right.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
That really, like, pissed me off. And the other one that made me mad And I thought of you when this happened. On like, I think it's day 4, you go to the Voodoo Museum
Hmm.
and the snake falls down and kills you.
Why?
And I was like, I haven't been killed at all in this game. I've just been fucking stuck talking to these assholes over and over again. And now you're going to like kill me unless I turn the light switch on so the fan starts and scares the snake. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all of a
That's what I
sudden,
mean.
you're just going to kill me?
Sierra had this thought of, I really believe it was their operating instructions that you just have stuff happen and the player fiddles with it until it works and you move to the next puzzle box where you fiddle with it till you work. And if you figure it out by logic, cool, but that's not the goal. Like, I don't care if it's brute force or whatever. I'm not here to make you feel smart. I want to tell my story, but I want to put it behind a bunch of things that slap you in the face on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Sierra. Like, you have a lot of interesting settings. You screw it up with your delivery on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay. So, let's take a moment after saying all that.
Mm-hmm.
3 things I did like.
Okay. 3. Wow.
I like the recorder function.
Mm-hmm.
That is an in-game conceit of how you still have everybody's dialogue in your sort of journal to like go back and review.
Totally. Good mechanic.
And if I needed that to actually solve puzzles, oh my God.
Right.
But I'm still going to just brute force my way through it. So, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and unfortunately it's sort of spoiled in the manual, but I understand why it has to be, that there are, whatever the voodoo code is, so you can start like talking to people with voodoo code.
Mm-hmm.
And using the drummers and the drum code to send messages as well. That is such an exquisite bit of world building.
Mm-hmm.
And to incorporate it into a game mechanic, I gotta give them points for. That's brilliant.
That's great. Because the drummers are like ubiquitous in the world, and then you get the sense that there's more going on there, and that is great.
And I did I did sort of my standard, didn't start with directions. It's a point and click game. Like, how much directions do I need? Then saw 87 icons, had already wandered around the room. Saw the drummers and was like, that's a nice little bit of background detail they put in. Then when I read the directions and found out there's something more to them, I wish, like, if this game came out today and you could hide those instructions until you hit the drummer thing and it was a hidden surprise, holy crap, that would just blow people's mind that the game was this big and now it's this big. And then you get the voodoo code and the game was this big and now it's even bigger.
Yep.
There are really good ideas under the surface. But it's still
What's the third thing?
Game.
Or was that 2 things?
No, that's 3. The drummer, the voodoo code, and
I see. And
I understand the voodoo and the drummer thing's kind of the same thing.
Right.
But shut up. I'm giving them 3.
I mean, I liked all the information about voodoo. I thought it was cool. Like, it's he does he looks like a super skinny, weird looking.
Looks like a dirty Conan O'Brien.
Right. He does. Yeah.
I do not miss this era of pasty paper doll where just the jaw moves. Like, I don't miss this era of game design.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for pixel art like this, though.
I get it. Like, I do.
But you're right. It sure doesn't move very well.
Doesn't move
like,
well. It's,
especially your dude's mouth, Gabriel's mouth. It's just a little off-putting.
Well, and I feel like if you're gonna do a close-in on the face, it should be to like express some emotion, and that is the one thing these things do not do. So you've created a bunch of animation on this that you could have put this on the screen they were just on, and I would have gotten the same message, and it would have been fine. And I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like the kind of like cheesiness of this and like the moodiness of it, but yeah, it would have been fine, you know.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
What was so my peak
Yeah.
was like day one. Thought it was real good. There's a lot of you can get through like at least I think day two before you really start hitting up against um the hunt a pixel stuff.
Yeah.
If,
Well, those
if you
books.
happen upon the right things.
How did you know to get the hair gel?
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't know until much later in the game. I stumbled on the hair gel.
because I saw that in my like tutorial for day one of like, don't forget to get the hair gel, and I'm like, I think I clicked on everything in that room. How did I not?
You can get through day one without the hair gel because I 100% did not get it till much later. There was a bunch of stuff that I didn't get really until much later. But yeah, that was my peak before I knew that it was kind of a pain in the ass. Like around day three, I started to realize, hey, this is really kind of a pain in the ass because I'm stuck. The first time you get stuck, you're going to be like disappointed.
Yeah.
But my pit was reading the spoilers for the Seki Module puzzle and then going back through and reading an entire walkthrough because I was sure that I missed the thing that makes that make sense. And I didn't. Like I was not the one who sucked there. I don't think. Maybe someone can tell me otherwise.
Well,
but
someone will tell you otherwise because, I mean, you suck for other reasons.
I do. That's fair.
Not as much as
accept
me.
that.
You know, I suck more, but whatever.
Right. Well, yeah. So, did you have a
pinnacle
peak
and
at
a
all?
pit? Yeah, my pinnacle actually happened yesterday when I shut it off for the last time.
Nice.
That was my pinnacle for this game.
It wasn't taking the sweet, sexy bite of candy or whatever. That was your pinnacle.
I can't give
Your
that to the game. That's
climax?
sort of outside the game. Ooh, thank you. Let's bite into something sweet and sexy.
Yeah, you like that. That's your favorite.
That's part of her, not her Oberon media. It's just her Eli Easton book series. A Changeling for Christmas, I think, might be my first one. Fangothica looks good too, but I'm a sucker for some shitty, cheesy Christmas thing.
It sounds great.
Sounds great.
And what was your pit? The lowest of the low.
The lowest of the low for me was the envelope you get from this clown. Because whatever icon I clicked on from the inventory screen, all the damn narrator would say is, the envelope is light. The envelope is light.
Yeah, I think it's open,
My wife's
right?
behind me just listening to, the envelope is light. The envelope is light. The envelope is light. As I click everything
She's like,
on it.
what incompetent person did I marry?
Right? Like, open the damn envelope. What is your problem here?
You know what else is
And
weird?
then finally it's like, oh, the door icon is the only thing I haven't tried. And that's not exit. It's open because, of course, it is Sierra.
Because you're in a different menu. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird that your childhood friend included an old picture of himself in the envelope. I was like, why would he give me a picture of himself? Like, what is he doing?
It's
I
so
mean,
weird.
I mean, you gave me a copy of the cocktail soundtrack last time I saw you, and
That
there was
makes
no
total
like
sense, though.
that makes sense, but there was no like picture of you from like 1996 in there.
There will be next time.
Fantastic.
Whatever the next thing is, you're getting one of my
Yep.
senior pictures just sort of shoved.
Yeah. I'm going to get you a painting of me on velvet, like a scantily clad boudoir number.
We'll talk about the velvet paintings you used to get me. I don't want to start anything here online.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my pinnacle. The envelope was absolutely my pit. It happened very early in. That was the moment I started looking at the icons and going, actually, hold on.
I
What
don't
the hell's
trust
going
you.
on with these icons?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, they're all
Yep.
like, I'm giving you a smidge of slack because of when it is, but I don't trust you as icons. I don't know what I'm clicking on or why I'm clicking on it. And then started to notice, like, leaving a room, there's different ways to do it. Interacting with the books, there's different ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I'm so done. I'm so done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a thing. And like when you are stuck and you've gone to all the places 800 times and talked to everyone and maybe unlocked 4 new dialogue things and spent an hour doing that, and then you figure out why you were stuck and you move on, like that's kind of satisfying.
I was gonna
That's
say,
like
it should feel
rewarding.
satisfying, but because I usually end up in a Sierra game doing it from just slamming shit around, it doesn't feel satisfying to me. I didn't figure anything out. I'm not smarter for it. I'm not more in tune with the developer.
But what was I saying? I had that experience, and then I like found whole rooms that I had missed. Like in the church, I didn't go into the rectory,
Oh my
and
God,
then
I
I was
couldn't
like,
figure
oh
out the
wow,
church. I
like,
kept walking in and clicking stuff and going, I don't know what's going on in here, and would leave. And I'm like, it must be something, but maybe it's later. I don't know.
yeah. And that was like, oh, there's a lot more here, and that's when I kind of started clicking on all the little parts of the every screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a thing. But man, that puzzle where you write on the wall was just like curtains for me.
He's like,
I,
I'm done.
I was like, I will not. I
Right.
will not write this fucking thing on the wall from this walkthrough on principle.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to just alienate some more people with?
No, no. I don't. I'm done.
Okay. Then we'll talk about our next games here. First one, Dungeon Hack. That should be the next one we talk about if we don't get a live stream in. We're trying, but it's kind of hard right now.
Yeah.
Dungeon Hack. Now,
Yep.
our next game after Dungeon Hack, I'm actually going to take a second. I want to read something. It's a little long, so bear with me. But we got a request for a game today.
And you were like, fuck all those other people who have requested stuff. This is
100%.
going this is
what
going
we're
in
doing.
front.
Yeah. Apologies in advance for the big why here. I know this one's a bit out of your wheelhouse, but since you guys have been bringing me lots of DOS and Windows games I missed as a kid since I had a Mac, I thought I might point out a Macintosh classic you might be interested in. It's a 2D space trading, piracy, and combat game. All right, cool. A bit like Elite, but with faster gameplay. Double cool. A style a la Asteroids. All right, I'm in. Like, I'll put that on the list. With an overall storyline involving an empire and rebels, because of course, in which you can take sides if you want. Additionally, the company which made and published the game, Ambrosia Software, recently went defunct and is in danger of disappearing, except for a very dedicated community hosting copies. Find me those games. These are the ones that are going to get shoved to the front of the line. A big reason that community exists is because the game is highly moddable. There used to be huge volumes of mods for the game, like Star Wars ones and Star Trek ones, and storylines with all sorts of details. Some even got novelizations, and people are still modding the game today, though a lot of the old stuff is lost. You thankfully don't need to set up a Macintosh emulator to play the game. A Windows port exists and works in Windows 10, no hassle. It's not exactly the same as the original experience, but it's close enough. It's a cracked copy, but since there's no owner of the game anymore and the licensing system is broken even for owners of the game, so it's literally the only way to play it. If you guys decide to play it someday, let me know. I'll email him later. And I can supply copies so you don't have to hunt down sites that may be defunct. Dude, I already got it. And chat your ear off about the history of the game if you want to. If you're listening to this, just join the Discord. We'll find you there. One further note, the original game is a bit simplistic, but was highly successful enough to result in a massive sequel that added features to the game engine and allowed for a much more extensive and sprawling storyline. Much larger universe. It's also 20 years old now, having come out in 2002. One's called Escape Velocity Nova, and you might honestly have more fun with it since it's just as polished as interesting overall. It is the game that actually ported to Windows. If you want to explore more of the game series as a longer game, you definitely want to check out that one over the original. Anyway, thanks for the rambling and reading. That's how you get us to do a game.
Yep. Long rambling emails.
Long rambling emails telling me that if it's
Forgotten.
not for us, the game will be lost forever. So Escape Velocity happening.
Yeah.
Right
We're
now.
doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Thank you for suggesting it. Probably.
Right. So
you'll find out.
You'll find out.
So
yeah.
will we.
I was gonna say.
I love that there's a community and all that stuff. We really like that, especially when things are going to be.
And especially knowing it's out there. Like a lot of these old games, sometimes we'll stumble across and someone afterwards will be like, there's a huge community to support it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't find that when I buy it off Good Old Games.
Right.
Like I'm not going and hunting down your community to try and make Interstate 76 work or Strike Commander. I'm not.
Right.
If I bought the game from somewhere, it was their job to make it work. They didn't. Moving on.
Moving right along.
Mm-hmm. Still bitter.
Like
you can tell they're still bitter from the Sierra. Just kind of.
I know. You're just like, you're never going to be the same. It's just like this acceleration of a slow and steady downward
I
trajectory.
promise you the
in your
next
life.
10 requests are all Sierra games because they're like, watch him. Let's see if we can get
you know what it's going to
shoot
be?
out his ears. Like,
it's going to be Leisure Suit Larry 2 through like 11 are going to be the next games that people want to play. And they're going to write impassioned letters about how they're going to be lost to the ages just to make you do it.
Cheap. Do it yourself. You don't need me. You don't need me for this. Don't drag me into your whatever your problems are emotionally.
Weird. Yeah, your weird thing. Leisure Suit Larry.
I was sorry, King's Quest, but Leisure Suit Larry too. Yeah.
Right. None of it's healthy.
No. And I want to like these games, but
you just don't like
I have
them.
to accept that they are not I am not the audience.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of why we don't do these as a review. Because sometimes I'm not the audience. Sometimes I had the wrong bowl of cereal this morning and I'm just not going to like this game. Like it can change. There are games I hated before that I love now and vice versa. So
totally. It's just the way of the world.
Way of the world. Way it works. Deal with it, chumps.
Yep.
This is what you get when you suggest a Sierra game, you assholes.
Yeah.
Whoever your friend is, I'm sorry. I know he really loves this game. I can see why, but man, not for me.
Well, he might. You get the rose-tinted glasses, you know?
Oh, I know.
The nostalgia-tinted glasses.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll stop beating on it because that's all I'm doing now is I'm just sort of like circling back for another hit. Bye, everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.